to Unsigned 518. I am here with Arrow Through Me. How's it going?
Good.
And you know what? I said outside, and I'll say it again. You guys were the champions right out off the bat because you came in one car.
Yeah.
Like I have such a small driveway, and I was like, they came in one car. That's it, because I was trying to figure out where everybody would fit, and I'm like, so kudos right off the bat. But I guess what we want to do, if you want to let Calvin up, you can, or if not, you can tell him to fuck off.
Cute puppy.
He doesn't know a lot about personal space. He's,
Can't say no to that.
Yeah. But we'll start over here to my left and just introduce yourself and what you do in the band, and we'll just kind of go around the room.
Sure. I'm Grace Schifferdecker. I'm the lead singer of the band and the coolest.
I'm Michael Pace. I play guitar in the band, and I'm probably the least cool.
My name's Aaron, and I play the jazz percussion.
I'm Dayron Bennett. I play guitar, and I do a decent amount of production in a band.
And I'm Anthony Redcross, and I play bass in the band and make everyone look cool.
And, I was saying a little bit before we got rolling, a lot of the times when bands come on, I'm kind of just doing what I refer to as my research, and I listen to the music the day of the podcast. That's how I get fired up. And you guys I saw at the Erie show at Single Cut a few weeks ago, and I had not heard of the band, and I had not heard any of the songs before that show. I went into the show completely blind and was blown away enough where that night I started listening to the EP. And like I said, I've been listening to it a lot. I know like most of the words to it. So,
So cool.
But it's that happens, a lot of times because like I'm a fan of music first and foremost. So it's like cool to meet bands, but it's very rare to go from not having heard of a band to having them be one of my favorites, to having them be on the show in just a couple weeks. So
Thank you.
now that that's out of the way, we're gonna go back and I guess tell the story how you want to tell it. So I don't know who wants to take the lead, but get the show rolling, I guess.
Sure. So me, Anthony, and Dayron were in another band called Brookline for quite a while, and our singer moved on, got married, started a life. He's doing great. We love him. Shout out Tommy. And we wanted to keep playing music, so we tried out a couple different people who we met through social media, thinking that would be like the better way to meet new musicians. And none of them really worked out. They were good, but didn't quite gel. So we were kind of ready to call it quits, but like last ditch effort, we went to Craigslist, and which is crazy.
I can't even fucking tell you how many times I've heard that in the last couple months. And I was surprised at him that Craigslist is still making shit happen for local bands.
Which was like the people we got via our Facebook and Instagram for Brookline was the old band, were about our age, like mid-late 20 guys, and then all of a sudden on Craigslist this 22-year-old female hits us up, and she's incredibly talented. She had a SoundCloud. We listened to it. We auditioned her, and then that was kind of it. But we had decided, because the sound was going to be so different, to change the name of the band and kind of go in a different direction. And that's how Arrow Through Me was born.
And I'm assuming, Grace, that you're the 22-year-old that has.
No, it's actually Mikey. Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey, I don't know. But I guess tell from your perspective how the band came on your radar and how you got yourself on theirs, I guess.
Yeah, I think I was just having one of those nights, existential nights, where I was like, I need to do something. It was summer. I was sitting inside. It just wasn't a good look. So I was like, all right, let me try out Craigslist. Honestly, the reason why I decided Craigslist is because, my dad, for example, he met majority of his bands on Craigslist, and I was like, yo, let me try that out. I've never done that before. First ad that popped up was these guys.
That's wild.
And I was like, okay, the genres they put in the description and some of the bands, like I was like, okay, I could try this out. So I just hit him up on there. And then I remember Mikey hitting me up on Facebook. We had a phone call. I was super nervous. I went to the audition with my boyfriend because I was like sussed out a little bit. But then I showed up and I was like, oh, these cool guys. And then we did the audition and it just felt right. Like in that moment, I was like, yep. I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. Just everything just kind of lined up type thing. It was really cool.
And as far as material, like, did you bring some of the material to the band, or was some of it already
I think it was a good
motion?
mix.
Later on.
Yeah, later on. I think lyrically, I just used what I had, but they were mainly just some of them already. You guys already had a couple ideas.
Well, Morning After was your song.
Yeah, Morning After's song I wrote, but they totally jazzed it up and made it like the best ever. Like I couldn't imagine that song sounding like it does today. It's incredible. But yeah, basically, I think it's just kind of a
I
collective.
think we had Pretend and Patterns.
Yes,
It was like
yeah.
the demoed track that we had that you tried on, you threw vocals to it, and we had a lot of rewrites to that.
Yeah.
But that was probably like the one that you came like more prepared that we saw. Was like Pretend. We're like, oh, okay, we could do something with this.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
So there was already the bones to it, like some musical foundation, and just
Yeah, it was like after the whole when Brookline kind of was, we were trying to figure out what we are gonna do as a band. When our singer left, we're like, all right, let's write something and go from there. We wrote a song, which later then became Pretend, the opening song for the EP, and then Grace came, tried it out, sang on it, and we're like, we can make a band out of
Yeah,
this.
yeah, for sure.
And did you have like what's your background in singing? Because the one thing I noticed, and again, seeing a lot of local bands, I've been in radio where I've seen a lot of national band, like your power in vocals isn't something that everybody has. Some people are very good singers, but kind of need that microphone to, act as that amplification. But I noticed at the show, like, I could hear your voice over the whole fucking band, like a few times, and I was standing close enough where the speakers were on the outside, and I'm like, that's unamplified. That's just like her voice that I could hear that is louder than. So I guess what's your background in singing, or did you just find that you could do it?
Well, I grew up in the Baptist church, so I
right.
did a lot of choir singing, a lot of a cappella in high school and jazz band and stuff. And you're just in those scenarios where you don't have microphones, so you kind of just have to yell.
Right.
So I think that's kind of where it comes from. I grew up on a lot of R&B and stuff, so I'm just like, hey,
Yeah, like I said, I
gotta
could
do.
fully tell that I'm like, geez, like she almost doesn't need a microphone. Like, whereas as most bands, are like, can I get more of me in the monitor? I
Yeah.
need to hear myself in the monitor. I'm like, oh, people can hear her
Yeah.
for sure. Like, and also like to carry that the notes through that,
Yeah.
it's like that thing where you get one or the other, but like that mix is hard. You
Yeah.
get people that are loud but may be off key once they
Right.
get a little loud, or you get the
Yeah.
people that are perfect key but are a little too quiet.
Yeah.
But it was that blend, and it was actually Morning After is the song that's the song live that I was
Yeah.
like, well, goddamn, like,
Thank you.
like, woo. So what's the time, now that we've got it established, like how, the band, came out of the ashes of another band, and, now Grace, you're in, and the songs are starting to come together. Like, when is that?
I think Grace came in May of 23. And then, so we were still playing with Chris Fox, who was the drummer for Brookline. And similar thing to Tommy, he eventually just wanted to kind of move on with his life and had some other stuff going on. So we got Aaron, close to a year ago now, almost, right?
Year to the date, honestly.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was actually quite a long process of writing and kind of figuring out what the new sound was going to be and where we all wanted to go. Like every single one of these songs has been written and rewritten multiple times, which I think is a testament to how good they are and how much we all like love this project. But I think also on the negative side, we're all pretty sick of them at this point. So we're pretty excited about the new stuff that we're writing as well. So we worked on this EP for close to 2 years before we finally got to release it. And yeah, we're just really excited about it.
And was that something that was a conscious decision to be like, we're going to figure our shit out before we present it? Or was it just happenstance?
I think that was probably more naturally, right? We didn't really have like a
It was half and half.
half.
Yeah.
Probably I would say that. Yeah, because like part of us was like, oh, let's experiment. Because we're coming off like I guess like having like a a more aggressive, harder rock band with a male vocals, and we're going from like that to like more an alternative sound with a female vocals. We're trying to adjust right to that.
Right.
And then once we're doing that, I was kind of figuring that kind of sound out, but also kind of planning out when we're going to do the kind of a release aspect of it.
For sure. And
Yeah.
I think there's some aspects of old songs and old projects
Yeah,
that we felt
blending.
we had rushed. So we wanted to make sure that these were what we wanted, and we didn't want to rush it, and we wanted to come out with something that was worthwhile, that people were going to listen to and could tell that we had put the effort in and worked on the writing and the production and all of it. So
And so this first round of songs, like the 5-song EP, where was that recorded?
we recorded actually with Daron, and he did a lot of the production of it. And then the mixing and mastering was done by Jake Mannix, who worked on all of our Brookline stuff. He works on a good amount of local. He actually mostly does hip hop now, but we're old friends, so he still produces our rock stuff, which is pretty cool. But if Daron could probably answer any
Yeah.
production question you have.
So you did the mixing and the recording of the whole thing, and
I pretty much just tracked everything at my house.
All right.
Pretty much, I do a rough mix on everything, but I think it sounds a little bit better to actually send it out to get mixed, to have that outside ear, because we are listening to the same thing for so long. You're just
Right.
going to expect it to sound good. You're going to hear certain things that are maybe too loud or too quiet, but you're so used to it, you're not going to realize it. So
and there's also that danger when you're doing it yourself of overworking it.
Yeah.
You know, like you have to know that point when you're like, all right, the fucking song's done. Like it's done.
Yep.
But like when you're doing it yourself, it's so hard to have that point because you're like, no wait, I'd never heard that before. That is a little loud.
Yeah,
Or this
there's
needs to.
solid days where I've literally, so pretty much once we're done recording it, before I send it out, normally I'll go through, edit any imperfection that I might be able to find in there, just to kind of save a little bit on the back end. And there's some days where I go, I don't like the sound of this. I'll sit in front of the computer for 3 hours trying to find a new guitar tone, send it out to these guys. What do you guys think? It sounds worse. Undo it all. And so
Yeah, that's the danger though. 'Cause
Yeah.
you'd start going down, and so often, I guess explain. I mean, I'm saying like to me, but like to the listeners, but like to me as well, because I also don't fucking know. But like the process of mixing versus mastering, like what's the difference between those two things?
I mean, usually when you're mastering it, you're taking, a fairly polished project, and mastering to me it's kind of the art of making things loud and pronounced without distortion or anything like that. And you're making more of a, when you're taking multiple songs, you need them to be at the same levels, and, it needs to be the same, because it has to play across all speaker types. So mastering it's not so much the art of building songs and how your layouts and stuff. It's more at the end. It's the final spice that just makes everything cohesive, like ultra glued together, and just sets it that one notch above what you consider just a rough
once
mix.
it's being mastered, it's the individual volumes are not being changed.
Right, you're literally taking, like, when you're mixing, you usually have access to all your separate guitar tracks.
One's too loud. Guitar
Right,
two's
right.
right.
This is taking all that's put together now into one track and leveling some of those peaks and valleys. You can add dynamics, but if you have the chorus, you really want that to hit, like, at that
Right.
point you can make little tweaks to maybe push that above the rest of the track, so you're just mastering the track. I mean, you're controlling, the final outcome of that overall, level.
What do we call it? Like HD? Like HD?
Yeah.
Get the HD effect of the song. Yeah. HD.
And it's an art in itself. A lot of people, that's all they do is they master.
Right. Yeah.
And some people only mix, and some
Right.
people do both, and they're overachievers. So,
right. Like I didn't realize like how different those things were.
well, you also need different equipment. like you could spend a lot of money on just mastering gear, and it's totally, different than having your mix gear. And there's, all kinds of artists use older analog gear to get these, and that they're still used today for, pushing some of that. So that's why someone might not say, oh, well, I don't master, because that's just another side to the coin of audio engineering that they haven't invested in, or they don't want to take the time to do it, vice versa. Someone that masters they just want to do the final product and be done with you, because they're probably going to charge you just as much, as for doing mastering as they are just
and
doing
like
the mixing.
is that whole process of like the mixing and mastering and getting all that, is that like the secret to the sound that you guys have? Because you have that sound that it's, I mean, I don't even have words for it, but it's like you almost think of like a national band. Like you're like, oh, when you hear your songs, you're like, that could fit in very easily with anything on a national level. But like there's some bands that while the songs are like really great, there's just something about the recording where you're like, I could tell that that's not quite there. But me just being a fucking dumbass, I don't know what or what makes the one sound sonically better.
So I think there's there's like multiple factors, and I think one would be like the chemistry between all of us of like wanting to meld everything together. And for example, at the end of Take Care, Aaron changed the drum fill, and I think we adjusted guitar riffs accordingly. And there's a couple of times where we make sure that we're doing stuff like that, and that can also be a big difference is in the way that you're composing. Also, Daron is brutal in the studio, but for good reason. There's a running joke we have of you can play that tighter, and so making sure that we're getting like the best quality takes as well. And then we got to shout out Mannix because he does a good job as well with his mixing and everything like that. He really the pause in the beginning of Morning After, that was his idea. So as a producer, he's also willing to throw in a little extra creativity to make the songs have just a little extra, and he'll shoot that back to us and say, what do you guys think about doing this? And then obviously we'll do that live now. So it's all a big collaborative effort, I think, and we don't let our own personal egos get in the way, which is also really helpful. I mean, there's days when we maybe definitely are frustrated with each other, but we know that it's the good of the group, and we want to deliver the best. We want the songs to be the best that they can be. So if somebody writes a part or has an idea or whatever, and it's just not working, like we have enough humility to say like, all right, scrap it.
We have a saying in our band, whatever serves the song.
Exactly.
So if someone's like, what if you didn't play in that? Whatever serves the song. Like whatever makes it good. So speaking of songs, I think we're at that point where we're gonna hear our first song of the episode. So what are we gonna hear?
We're gonna hear "Pretend," the first song on the EP. Yeah.
Cool. And you want to tell me a little bit about the song?
I think this was like the first song we came together as a band and like actually wrote. We had this one thing lyrically that we wrote the first time, which is just a load of crap. So, and then we wrote something else, and it was awesome. I was pretty convinced we weren't going to have this one on the EP, but then we wound up coming together and writing something really phenomenal. So yeah, this is the one, Pretend.
All right, sick. Well, let's check out Pretend, Arrow Through Me, and then we'll be right back.
I see right through
Pretend, Arrow Through Me, and that one's off the EP Ephemera, which is out now. And while we will hit another song off that later, I guess I want to talk about, is there anything in the works, any albums, another EP? Like, what's on the horizon?
I think we're cooking on a little bit of an album here.
Yeah.
We've got a couple songs that we kind of had loosely written pre this EP coming out, and I think every time we get together now, we're kind of trying to shoot for something else and at least get a good culmination of songs together to hopefully do a little bit of a bigger project for the next one. Maybe a little album, we'll see. Yeah.
And is it something like, putting out the EP, obviously once everything is done and packaged and it's released, it's kind of like this sigh of relief. Mm-hmm. How long did it take you to be like, let's start working on the next shit?
I think instantly for us. It was
Instantly.
instantly, yeah. We had this EP cooking for 2 years,
Yeah.
and then when we finally put it out in March 1st, we were like, all right, we already have 2 songs already in the back for the album. Let's start working on this stuff. And then, okay, Aaron, what you got, Aaron?
When I first was asked to join the band, they told me I had nothing but time to learn, write, and because I hadn't played in a band for a long time. I really wasn't doing anything with music, and these guys reach out to me, and yeah, when I first got there, like, yeah, you got nothing but time. Everything's, it is what it is. And then like 2 weeks later, they're like, okay, we want all this done like this
Put
month.
new drums on it.
Yeah. So, they were very ready to be done with this part of their journey. But, I just had to put that in there because
Yeah,
I thought
rightfully
it
so.
needed to be said.
We did tell you,
so.
we got some time. But no, we had a song that was actually originally supposed to be on this EP that we decided to hold off for because we're like, this not done cooking on it yet, and it's kind of like this has the potential to be something that's on the next thing. So we did that, and then eventually started writing for an album.
And I know you mentioned videos. Like what songs have videos? And then I want to talk a little bit about the making of.
Yeah. Right now we have Take Care. There's an official music video on our YouTube channel for that, and our second single, Guilty, has a video on that one.
Shout out to Rob Lewis.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who is also my childhood best friend, but he does incredible work and is very affordable. So any other bands looking for a music video, shout out Rob. But he did music videos for us in the past, and Anthony and Grace cooked up this like awesome idea for Guilty, and he was totally down to come help us make that a reality. And same with Take Care, but that one was a little less involved. So
Yeah. Yeah. Guilty was the one that we actually sat down and got an idea with, and I wrote a screenplay for it. Grace's 2 childhood best friends, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of,
basically.
yeah.
High school.
Yep,
yeah.
they were the actors for the Guilty video, and I kind of wrote a screenplay based around that and an idea that I kind of had in my head since we wrote the song. I think I brought to you when the song was like finished, and I was like,
Sitting on that for a
a
while.
little, yeah, a while, yeah, probably like a year and a half, but that's kind of how that one came to be.
Mm-hmm.
And being that we're like all kind of in like a local scene or whatever, and like obviously we're not making millions of dollars off like our videos and whatever, but do you think, like, I personally think that making videos for my song is like, it's just, you do it, you know what I mean? Because like,
Yeah.
it's like part of the process, and I enjoy doing it, and like, it's cool to add that extra layer. But like, there's some people that are like, what's the point?
We
Like,
definitely talked about that too, I think. Like, kind of like is it worth going down that avenue and probably investing the resources in a video? But I think we just liked it. You know what I mean? Like, kind of as a band.
yeah, and I think, well, like previously in our past project, we found great success in having videos. Not like you said, I don't think we never made ad revenue off YouTube or anything, but being able to send like an EPK
Right.
to people that has that link, it's just like going the extra mile, putting the effort into your work. And from what our experience was, promoters and other people really respected that, and it helped us get booked into some bigger shows. And also, for us as artists, it's nice to look back on that and say, like, we did that. Like, it's a visual representation.
And it's permanent.
Yeah, it's going to be there forever.
Yep.
So
It was fun.
Yeah,
it's a blast.
Fun, yeah.
It's just like we're doing this, you know, we're doing this because we like music and like we're doing it a lot for just ourselves.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
that's.
like,
I mean,
hey,
we
let's
always
do
say
music
that's,
videos to be sick.
that's
you
why
know,
I'm
like,
doing it.
You know,
Like,
he's got an awesome
I don't give a
idea.
fuck if
let's
anybody
put
even
it
sees
into
it.
fruition
Like,
and
yeah.
you know, just have some fun with it. If it goes nowhere, like I don't think we're putting it out thinking like, you know, we're gonna be bazillionaire
Yeah.
artists because there is tons of artists.
But it
out
is
there.
nice too, like to have, you know, especially in like a smaller market like Albany, like when you have that video and people see you, they become familiar with what you look like, and then when they see you live, there is just something cerebral that like it just
it's like
it connects, and there's nothing you could do. You know, that's just a thing.
Yeah, and I think we live in that super visual world now with social media and obviously short form media now, like being able to clip your video and turn it into a reel or a TikTok and all of those types of things. Like it's something that's so worth investing in our opinion. It's done nothing but help us out, and it also makes us happy. So
Right.
we're going to keep doing it. So
Right. It's super fun. All right. Well, I think we're at that point where we should check out another song. So, what was the second song that we were going to hear?
The second song is I think our second single off the EP. That's Guilty. This one has the video, as Anthony mentioned earlier, with my childhood best friends.
Sweet.
This one was, I think you wrote the riff, Mikey. You had the riff for this one for a while, right?
yeah, well, sort of. I had the pattern of the, I guess you call it the pre-chorus or the first part of the chorus, which is in 7, which is we were messing around with that for a while with different chords and different stuff, and then eventually Daron showed me kind of the chords that we ended up using for this song, and this one also went through multiple rewrites, and we kind of landed here, and it just worked and it gelled, and I don't think a lot of people realize that there's an odd time signature right in the middle of this bad boy, but yeah, it is, and it's really cool, so hope you enjoy it.
All right, let's check out Guilty. Arrow through me, and then we'll be right back to wrap it up.
Still see what loved in your eyes, but
That was Guilty, Arrow Through Me. And I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your afternoon to come up here and do this. And before we go, I want to give you the chance to say what I refer to as your gratitude. So, Grace, we'll start with you.
My gratitude is to this band, these band members. You're making my dreams come to fruition, and I couldn't have imagined doing this with anybody else. So that's really it. Yeah.
I gotta say thanks to Rob and Mannix for everything they do, helping us out with the videos and with the mixing and everything. They do an incredible job. Super cool guys, and their input has really helped make us the band that we are today. So,
Yeah, I'd have to say that, I'd have to thank all you guys, because I was at a point where I probably wasn't going to do anything more musically, and I wasn't doing much playing on my own and stuff, and they reached out to me, and they took a chance, and I'm really excited for the stuff that's coming ahead. I feel like we're going to do some growing still, and some molding, and I think the rest of our stuff, it looks pretty bright.
I just gotta say thank you to my fiance for putting up with all of us in the house. She worked nights, late shifts, and these guys show up at 11, make a lot of noise, be in the house. She's still sleeping, walks up, and she's got a whole house full of people. So I can imagine how annoying that's probably been, and I'm so grateful and thankful for her understanding and working with me and all of us, and putting up with me editing and not talking to her for 4 or 5 hours when I get home from work, and then good night, I'll talk to you tomorrow, and not getting upset about it. So
I gotta give a shout out to my mother for always supporting me growing up as a musician. That was like my biggest fan, and I was also grateful for our fans in general who support us along the way. So far as this new project, we're really eternally grateful for everyone.
All right. So they are Arrow Through Me. I am Andy Scullin. This is Unsigned518. And see you on the road. Unsigned518 is produced and hosted by me, Andy Scullin. New episodes are available every week wherever you stream podcasts. If you would like to help support the show, please like and subscribe wherever you are listening. Or you could buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/unsigned518. If you would like to advertise on the show, send me an email at unsigned518@gmail.com. And to be a guest on the show, reach out to me through Instagram at unsigned518. Take care of one another, and I'll see you next week.